until I die. Raise the banner, let it fly high. Through the rain, through the fire. This is my club, my only desire. Echoes of King and Greaves in the air. Every goal, the sound declares. Heartbeats pound like a drummer's song, marching forward, fierce and strong. We're the ones who rise in the clash. Numbers running in a white shirt dash. History burns in the roaring crowd. Every game we scream it loud. I'm Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly high. Through the rain, through the fire. This is my club, my only desire. We're the ones who rise in the clash. Numbers running in a white shirt dash. History burns in the roaring crowd. Every game we scream it loud. I'm trying to jump until I die. Raise the banner, let it fly high. Through the rain, through the fire. This is my club, my only desire.
Hi guys, and welcome to first before the whistle of the new 25-26 season. Yes, this is the pre-season game against away to Reading. I was really undecided if I was going to do one or not, but I decided why not. It's the start of the Thomas Frank's first game in charge, and I want to check my mic.
All over the place. There we go. That should be better now. But how are we all this evening, this afternoon? Spurs player having a little bit of a mare. As I got me on the monitor, they haven't even started yet, and they're 4 minutes late. But how are you guys? Just a little bit of news for you. Morgan Gibbs White does start for Forest today in their game. I was just told that a few minutes ago. I don't know if it's a goodbye to the Forest fans or what it is, but he does start today. So that would be an interesting one. The lineups haven't come out yet for the game against Reading. So it'd be interesting to see who Thomas Frank does pick. Steve's on his way. He's just doing something. And the lineups are out, guys. So I will go through it with you now. Just let me share the screen. Let me know how I do that. Let me share. There we go. There we go, guys. That is the lineup. And it is a really interesting lineup as well. We're starting with Vicario and goal. We've got Pedro Porro, Romero, Danso, Udogie is a back four, Bentancur, Sarr, and Devine as a midfield three, Johnson, Solanke, and Archie Moore. Then on the substitute bench, we've got Kinski, Austin Davis, Vajovic, who's making his first appearance for Spurs, so he should come on for the second half. Phillips, Van der Ven, Spence, Abbott, Basuma, Bergville, Donnelly, Son, Lancashire, Yang, and Kudos as well. A new recruit from, and I think Spurs are playing in their away kit today. They are playing in their black kit. So that is the Spurs lineup for Reading. I will see what if they've put their lineup yet or not. Just going to quickly check that out. So give us 2 minutes, guys. I hope you're all doing well. Just give us a minute. Let me check this out. And the Reading lineup is out, and it is. I don't know if you guys can see it. Hopefully you can. No, you can't. All right. Okay. So I'll unmute that and share the new one. Where's the Reading one? Here is the Reading one, guys. And this is the Reading lineup. It is Prairie and goal. They're gone with a back four as well. That's the team, and there are the substitutes as well. And they're playing in their blue and white kit top. So look, that is the lines up. I will get them up on the screen for the watch along, which we are doing, going live at 2:45, guys. So Let me know what you think of that lineup. It's an interesting one. Big up from David Clark. Hi from Leicester. Davis and more starting. Yeah, I'm very surprised. It's a good lineup, David. I'll bring it up there again. Just let me just get it right. I think it's an interesting lineup. He's gone strong, which I didn't think he would do, but he has gone strong. And with let's see now, can I? There we go. That's better. I think it's great. He's going with Fakari on goal. I think the back four is strong. Now we know Sonny will come on in the second half because he did say Sonny and Romero will both have the captain's armband, but I think it's a think trial today for Romero as captain, which I think is the right decision. So great to see him in there. Your doggy midfield tree is very interesting with Benton, Corsar, and Devine. Alfie Devine getting the start, and I know Thomas Frank has said that he wants to see the youngsters, the likes of Dance and Devine, more Donnelly, as well as Vajovic as well, who's come in. I think that's a lineup. That is a really bold lineup. I'm really shocked over that, to be fair. But it's a lineup that should win, guys. It should win us the game. Big up Tequila. Hopefully we can all have a better stream than last time. Yeah, I apologize about that, Tequila. I'd be honest with you. I wasn't happy with the stream either, if I'm being totally honest with you. I wasn't really happy with it, and I came off quite disappointed with it all. So look, we learn, we move on, and we do. But let me know what you think of the lineup, Tequila. What do you think of that lineup? Is it a good lineup or not? And big up to Colin, big up my Celtic cousin. Hope you're doing well. No Gray or Tell. Yes, very, very interesting that there is no Tell or Archie Gray in the whole squad. What does that tell me? It doesn't tell me anything. It just tells me he's probably going to use them against Luton. I just don't know if Tequila. I know Steve's going to jump on in a minute. I don't know if Tequila wants to jump on for 5 minutes to get what he has to say. So let me send him the link, and I'll see if James is about as well. I'm going to send him a link. I'm very surprised Tell isn't around today, to be honest. And I don't know what's happened to Spurs play. They're not really showing. They're supposed to be showing the build-up, but nothing's happening. So can you lads let me know if Spurs play is having a mare, or what's happening? Because at the moment, nothing's happening. I know they had problems last preseason as well. And hopefully they may kick off soon. But yeah, big up to David Clark. He's saying the reason for not picking VDV is probably because of Reading's pitch. It's a hybrid pitch. Yeah, it is. It is. And it's them pitches are becoming more and more in the lower leagues, David. I don't know if you would agree with me on that. And I think it's a very good point. That's why they haven't picked VDV. He may get a run out today. He may get 20 minutes or something like that. But I think that's a really interesting back four for me. What are you thinking of Tell's of Frank's first game in charge? I'm excited. I'm very excited for Thomas Frank's first game in charge. I'm very excited that we can now move on for Mange. I'm very excited that we can put that to bed now and unite as a fan base. I think get behind the one manager now and leave that. That's done. What happened last season is done. We'll never forget it. We should be proud of this season starting as European champions. Of course we should. But I think you have to move on. I think you have to put that to bed and move on for the next one. Big up to Colin. It says a 4-3-3 to start. I would say so, and then probably go to a 3-5-2 second half as well. Big up to Boris as well, where we know two who might be out the door, being Richie and Solomon, due with them not being in the squad or the bench. Yeah, nor is Archie Gray or nor is Mateus Tell, and I'm very surprised Tell is not playing or Archie. But joining me, of course, is hello. He was there. He's gone. He's back. Is my American cousin. See, Irish and Americans are really closely linked as nations, and we are technically cousins from another, probably 25th down the line, Steve. We're probably related somewhere down the gene pool. if we did our family freeze.
Yeah, I would assume. The interesting thing is, I know we're getting a little off topic, but I have done the 23andMe, and it turns out there's 20% there's 20% heritage from the UK area. Whether that's English, Scottish, or Irish, I have no idea. But that being said, though you brought it up, and there might be a familial link from way back when.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way: Ireland is Ireland. We've got nothing to do with them lads across the water. They can look after themselves. But you're an honorary Irishman. That's how I put it anyway, Steve. Anyway.
Yeah.
What do you think of the lineup? No Tells in the squad. No Tell. No where is it now? Who said it? You're right, Tequila.
No Richarlison.
No Richarlison, no Solomon, no Tell, and no. There was another player who wasn't in the squad. Archie Gray.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
And I would assume the reason why Archie Gray's absence, from the matchday 11 is because of his international duty. So they're probably him and Kota Takai, and a couple of these guys that spent the summer playing for their national teams. I would assume that's the reason why they're not in this lineup, just to give them a breather, just so they're going to be ready for the Asian leg of the preseason.
Yeah, that's true. Tequila, what do you think of the lineup, sir? Are you think it's a bold lineup? Are you happy with it? Is there any changes you would have made, or you think that's the right way to go?
I don't really mind. It's just fitness, so I don't hold any value on any of it. It's just fitness, dude. I don't care if we win or lose. I don't care. I don't care if we play terribly. I'm not going to judge Frank on a bunch of preseason games.
Right.
So. What do you think about Thomas Frank? What's your impression of him from the start now with his press conference yesterday? And it's very different, isn't it? I was very impressed with him yesterday. And
I've only seen the one press conference with him, but he hasn't lied to me yet, unlike our last manager. So as long as he keeps it up, he'll be okay with me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Do you think that's important, that he's more honest with the fans, that this manager is upfront, honest with the fans, and say, look, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to go about it, and not try to fudge the lines, if you know what I mean?
Some of my favourite managers are generally the ones who straight shoot with people. I'm not naive enough to know that they can be 100% transparent, because then they'll probably get themselves fired. So I do understand it to a certain degree, but I think there's still ways you can kind of do it without actually lying to the fans. You have to be careful what you say. In my opinion, and obviously mine only, especially based on the stream last night, I think Andrew was a liar. He lied to the fans several times, in my opinion. I'm allowed that view. I'm going to hold that view. No one's going to talk me out of it.
I think everyone's entitled to their view. I mean,
so as long as Frank doesn't do that, then I'm okay with him. My favorite Spurs manager of all time has nothing to do with on-field success, because you can say that he wasn't that successful. Unfortunately, I wish he would have been more successful, which was Martin Jol. Why? Yeah. Because I believed him. Personally, I believed him. I don't think he lied. Now, did he maybe lie to us once or twice? I don't know. I wasn't in the dressing room, but I never felt that he was lying. So from that basis, that's what I want out of my manager. I want them to be competent. I want to feel that I can believe in them and trust them. That is important to me as a fan, because I've got no power, Dermot. Us fans don't have much power. We've got a voice, sure, but we don't have any say in the control of the club. So we have to believe in the man who manages it. Granted, nowadays it's a bit of a different world back to when Martin Jol was the manager. Yeah. Because there's so many other kind of chefs cooking the brew now. It's not as simple as it used to be that the manager picks the players. I wish it went back to that, but it's not going to. As much as I might desire it, go back to a simpler time. But so far, Frank, I've got nothing to criticise him for. I think he speaks quite well. I just hope that he is a man of principle, is a man of his word, and he doesn't try to BS the fans. Because I think that is one of my biggest criticisms of how I felt about our last manager. So
I think you made some good points. I mean, Steve, I think Tequila does make a very valid point that you want a manager to be upfront. You want a manager. This is how it is going to be. This is how we go. Look. You. It's a new broom. I said it at the start of the stream. What we done last season we won the Europa League, brilliant. But this is the start of a new regime, a new era in our history, a new time to move on. So I think we should move on, and we should start from today. Thank you for what you've done in the past, but it's a new broom in the house, new man in the house, isn't there? A new boss. So we've got to get behind it. I think we've got to leave the negativity where we're not negativity, but we have to unite as fans now behind this new regime. And I think we have to, if we're at the heel as a fan base.
I actually think that's already happened to a large extent, right? Because if you remember last season, our fan base was cracked right down the middle because it was Ange in, Ange out, and all the negativity that's rolled around it. But as soon as that decision was made that he was no longer going to be the head coach, and Thomas Frank's appointment, I have not seen any of the negativity outside of Tequila's missing cat. Outside of Tequila's missing cat.
Don't get me started on that, bro. That's a completely different story. That one.
We have yet to see.
Definitely would be taken down.
Any signs of negativity, and I doubt we're going to see that until we're about 10 games in, depending on how we kick on to start the season. When it comes to what the coach is saying to the fans, I kind of agree with David Clark quite a bit here in the chat that I don't necessarily care what the coach is telling me as long as we're winning matches, right? I think that's the only thing I care about is the message in which he sends to his players, whether those players believe in it. And Colin's absolutely right. When it comes to the fan, he's got to be careful with the truth, because there's a lot of game planning that he can't necessarily make public when it comes to injuries, when it comes to when it comes to tactics ahead of an important match. The last thing he wants to do is be on Front Street with what his game plan is going to be. So from that aspect, I 100% agree with him.
I didn't mean it that way. When I said the truth, I didn't mean it that way, Steve. Not like saying obviously the other teams, their tactics. Of course not. I didn't mean that.
Yeah, the interesting thing though is and again, I always go back to this. I understand exactly what you meant with your shout out to a guy like Martin Yule. But for me, the only thing I care about is whether or not these players believe in Thomas Frank. Because one of the things that did not happen under Ange Postecoglou is I don't think he got the full buy-in from the squad. I think there were certain players. That did buy into him and his in the way that he wanted to play, and I think there was a lot of potential standoffish with other players on the first team, and I think that inconsistency was the reason for the inconsistency. So for me, it's what I want to see is this team buy in and move forward together, because I think that's going to correlate with the fans as well too. If the players are on board with the coach, I think the fans are going to be on board with the coach, and for me, that's the only thing I genuinely care about.
I think, look, I get it. I agree with Tequila when it comes to Martin Yole, by the way. I think that man is a feckin' legend. And how he was dismissed, I think it set how the fans feel about our ownership from that day, how he was sacked at halftime. And I think it was the most disrespectful way to sack a manager. But we've got to move on from last season. Now, starting today, Thomas Frank is in. He is starting. I mean, who you want to see today, Tequila? Which players are you excited to see today start the game? Kudus is on the bench. Also, Morgan Gibbs-White, I was told about just before I came on, is in the starting lineup for Nottingham Forest today. So I want to start with you. That. Yeah, I'm just starting you. Is that a goodbye to Forest fans, do you think? What, Tequila? What we're working at from there?
It's one of those things where it's a difficult. I mean, from Forest's standpoint, it's a difficult one because they know obviously their asset is very much for sale. They're not going to come out and say, they can say whatever they want publicly, but I think they probably know there's a good chance he's going to leave. It might not be to Spurs. We'll see. We'll see if anyone else comes in. But they probably know that chances are he's not going to be starting for them. So it's a difficult one. They're probably going to have weird instructions. Like, you're not going to see Gibbs-White today going for a tackle. I doubt you're going to see. I'm not going to be watching the Forest match, but I'll be shocked if you see Gibbs-White going for any kind of tackle, because the last thing that kid wants to do right now is go and get himself injured. But also, he needs fitness, because if he does sign for Spurs or whoever, then he doesn't want to be a month behind everyone else in the fitness. Because that means that you won't be able to start the season. So it's a tricky one. If I'm the player, I don't know. I want my fitness, but I think mentally, I mean, he won't want to pull out of challenges and stuff like that. But I think there's going to be that little bit there where he might feel like, well, I can't take the risk of going and getting injured because I've now decided I want to change clubs, whoever that ends up being. So it's a difficult one for him. It's a difficult one for Forest. Would you play him, knowing that chances are that you've got this 60 million? It may be right. Maybe it'll be higher than that in the end. Play asset that you're about to kind of cash in on, I suppose. So
I think, look, this is the question for you, Steve, and that's why I thought Tequila got a completely different question for you. Tequila hits the combo. Would you play him? Is the Forest owner saying to Nuno, I want him in the starting lineup today as a protest to what's happening with Tottenham and the transfer? Look, you and me both said Tottenham have done nothing wrong. Tottenham have done everything above board. There's been no legal approach, and we've explained that. But do you think this is two fingers by the Forest owners to Tottenham? He's our player, and he's starting.
I think it's, honestly, I think it's a strategic gamble because we still know that Nottingham Forest want to extend him. They want to make him the highest paid player. And I think from their perspective is that, as long as he's still on the roster and he's a player, he's going to be in the lineup. They're not going to do Tottenham any favors, right? So from the standpoint of, well, yeah, we're going to play him, and if he gets hurt, it is what it is. It's good for us because now, now he's an injured commodity, and now we're going to have ample amount of time to convince him to stay. Versus what the player is going to do when he gets on the field. Now is, Tequila just alluded to this. Now, is he going to use this as an opportunity just to get some life into his legs and use this as just a way to get ready? Or is he going to, put forth his best effort and potentially bring injury into the equation? I would probably assume from the player's standpoint, he's probably going to take it easy on the pitch. I don't think he's going to necessarily go hard in 1v1s and some of those type of situations. But that being said, is this going to be a situation where he's going to be playing more than 45? Is this going to be a half? Those type of situations. It's a very good question. I can see it. I can see it clearly from a Forest standpoint. This is a situation where they're not going to do Spurs any type of favor.
No, I don't. I like David Cart's comment actually, where he says if I was keeper, I would keep passing the ball to the Forest opposite. I'd and see how long the coach keeps me on. Colin next says if I do, I love that. That's comment of the stream so far. Yeah. We've got big up to Reefer. Big up Reefer. Hope you're doing well, sir. Hit the like and subscription on all channels if you can. And failed to adapt tactically. I agree. When opponents exploit the expensive highline defensive, it works in Scotland, where only two teams truly compete, but the Premier League is a different level. I mean, Tequila, you don't agree with that then?
I'm fed up of talking about Ange. I've got to be honest. I'm not.
I agree with you.
No offense no offense to Reefer, mate. It's not a personal thing in you, right? I think I'm fed up of talking about him. I was fed up of hearing it last night. I'm fed up of talking about him, right? I have my view on him. It won't change. My view is different from a lot of people.
No, I agree.
That. But I don't see the point in talking about it. Reefer believes that. I am on a similar wavelength to Reefer. Other people won't agree with it. But does it matter anymore?
No, that's exactly
right. I mean, the point I was going to ask you, how does Thomas Frank tactically... because Thomas Frank was a Premier League manager, he gets the Premier League. Does that already give him a sort of a head up on tactically how we're going to set up the season, Tequila?
Well, number one, again, I don't want to talk about it, but here I am having to once again talk about it. He's more experienced manager than Ange is in a Premiership. Not overall, but in a Premiership. He's got more years under his belt. So that should be a simple yes. So he should be. I am expecting him to do better than Ange. Maybe not in the cup. I wasn't
going along the Ange route, Tequila. The route I was going on was, out of the managers we could have got, do you think Thomas Frank was the best pick?
No,
because of his Premier League experience and him.
No, he wasn't my top choice or my second choice. But I don't think he's a terrible.
Yeah,
you want me 7 out of 10. That's what I think. Is 7 out of 10 good enough? Compared to last year in the league, I believe 7 out of 10 is good enough. But as I said at the time, I don't think he's going to take us to this so-called promised land. But then again, I'm not convinced any manager can under this ownership. If the ownership changes Dermo, which we're all hoping is going to be the case, then I'll change my assessment. I can only go based on the ownership as it is. Hopefully, we're in the process of changing that ownership. But until I know for sure that has happened, then there is a ceiling for Frank, but it can be higher if we have more better investment. That's the best terminology. Better, not particularly more, better investment.
On that point, Steve, with Keeler's point of investment and all that, Tottenham this transfer window have spent really weirdly. We've never seen Tottenham do this in a transfer window before.
And it's not over yet either.
Look, I'm working with the idea. I think you are as well. You and me on the same page as this. That it's Vinny and Paratici and Lang who are in charge. Do you think after the transfer window we will get confirmation what is happening at the club? Because Levy has lost a hell of a lot of his left lieutenants, of his people that back him up. He's lost a lot of face in the boardroom. You got the row between himself and the Lewis Trust. You got the Lewis Trust trying to bring in their own people. Levy's trying to fight to survive as chairman on the football side. Then he comes out and does that, I don't know what you would call it, first dates video with Vinny, where they're looking at each other with love and eyes and going, will you go on a second date with me? And he did say in that video, Vinny is in charge of the football side.
Yeah.
So what the hell is going on? I mean, on the pitch, we seem to be organised. Behind the scenes, we seem to be in the complete mess.
Well, I'm glad that you asked, because we discussed this a little bit this morning on the American Hotspur, and David Clark right there has already alluded to it a little bit. Is that it starts at the top, and we know that the Lewis Trust that is headed up by Joe Lewis's daughter, they want to get out of the football business. They have held majority ownership in the stake for 2 decades already, and the business model in which they adopted has taken Tottenham into the top 10 of the Deloitte Money League, meaning that when it comes to revenue and profit, the valuation of the franchise has skyrocketed to the point where if they do sell their majority stake, and I believe that they are or have sold their majority stake, they're going to walk away with billions of dollars, which is again the end game. It's the only reason why you buy a professional team is because of the end game when you eventually sell it. Now, this offseason, we saw some dominoes fall, and of course, Charrington was appointed to represent the Lewis Trust when it comes to the executive level, and of course, they brought in Vinny to run the football side of things, and I still believe to this day that Vinny wouldn't have taken the job unless there was absolutely no interference from Daniel Levy. Right, he has to have the autonomy to be able to put together a football team that's good enough to compete on all 4 fronts, right? And we've kind of seen that so far in the offseason and the work that he's done with Paratici and Johan Lang to identify players to bring him in, so on and so forth. For me, I think that what has happened, and I think this probably started back in June, maybe late May, as this team was winning Europa League, that the investment was either they're laying the groundwork for some sort of investment. If that happened in early July, we'll probably hear publicly in August. Of what it, whether it is an investment for a minority stake in the team, or if this is going to be a complete total takeover, that probably will be made public, because I think they have to wait 4 weeks to publicly announce, because all these inner workings with the Premier League and the FA and some of these other different agencies that run English football have to sign off on these type of things, and it's going to take time to make that public. But the reason why I believe this is because of the investment that we've already seen and the aggressiveness in which Tottenham are identifying players and going out there. Like, what's interesting about it, a lot of people thought that Daniel Levy wouldn't pay a penny more for Morgan Gibbs White, because the release clause is $60 million, and now he's coming out and saying he's been willing to pay $10 million more. When has Daniel Levy ever acquiesced to paying more than what the release clause was actually worth, right? The plates are still spinning with Adam Wharton. They're still spinning with Xavi Simons, with Red Bull Leipzig. We're talking about world-class players. Well, in the case of Xavi Simons, but you're talking about very good players that otherwise maybe Tottenham might get one of those in a summer window. But it's how this is lining up is that we're eventually going to end up spending $300 million net in the summer. That would be the biggest summer transfer window that this club has had under Lewis Enoch Levy.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
to me, it signals that something has happened when it comes to the majority ownership stake, just because of, if you read the tea leaves, the Lewis Trust does not want to be involved in football anymore. Just saying.
No. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Tequila, where are you on it all? I mean, look, you're very much how this window has gone so far. Have you been impressed with the window?
No.
Look, we know what's
not really.
not impressed you. I mean,
it's the same as it always is. I understand what Steve's saying. I'm not even going to say Steve's wrong. Because if that turns out to pass, then I don't think any Levy outer, whatever terminology you want to give us, can really have that much of a leg to stand on. Steve is bang on. If we do end up spending 300 million, I don't think there's any realistic Spurs fan, even the most negative or whatever about Levy, who can turn around and say the manager hasn't been backed. You can turn around and say Levy hasn't flashed the cash. Of course, so far we haven't hit that. So far, until these players come in, other than Kudos, until these other players come in, I'm still under the stance until it actually happens that there isn't a change. David Clark in the chat says the power of Spurs ownership has already changed. When I officially see that, I will believe it. It's no disrespect. It's because I've been here so many times before. So many times, Dermo, and you know this. You've been watching as long as I have. How many times have we been here before?
Look, I've seen it. Look, I've been following Spurs since the early 80s. So this is my 40. I'm 48 now. So this is probably my 45th season of following Tottenham Hotspur. So 45 years I've been following this club. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever. We had owners like Ivan Scholar who nearly wrecked our football club. Alan Sugar came in, did what he had to do, stabilized the club, put it on the foundations. Enoch and Levy came in. And have they, on the business side, have they done well? Yeah, they have. You can't fault that. You can't fault what they've done on the business front, on the making more money from the commercial side of it. On the football side, no, they haven't done near enough. And we've had many false storms under Pochettino. We should have backed him after he reached the Champions League final. When we finished third in the two-horse race in the league when Leicester won the league. He wasn't back that season. You could have backed him in January with a couple of players to see Tottenham probably win their first Premier League titles in 61. So, yeah, you are right. The ownership itself, until I see something more concrete come out. Look, I know a lot more than probably a lot of people, but these things are only confirmed when all the dots and the T's are crossed. Yep. And the ink's just dried on the dotted line. Now, where I do agree with David Clark is that that the power in the Spurs ownership has already changed. And I do think Vinny, and I do feel Charrington, and I do feel Paratici and Lang have a different remit this season, how to do transfers. And we're seeing that already by getting Kudos for 60 million, putting in a 60-odd million pound bid for Morgan Gibbs-White. And then, as David Clark says, add another 10 million on for that. That's virtually a mint that did something. So you would never have seen that under a Levy ownership. When has Levy ever matched anyone's release clause? Never. I've never heard of that. And we're still going after other players. We're not finished in the trial. I've been told we're having a defender brought in and another 2 players brought in. So you're looking at, we already got 4 in, 7 players in this window. When have we ever brought 7 players in? So where I do agree with you, Tequila, that I have to wait to be proven right. I do agree with that. I think you're right to be, I think pessimistic, I think is the word I'm looking for.
Apprehensive is a good word.
Apprehensive, yeah, I think that's more the word. Than anything. But I think things are changing, and I think it takes time for things to change. It takes time for deal. Once the naming rights done, I think we're going to learn a hell of a lot more of what's happening with the game today. Guys, I'm going to shoot off soon to get the watch along ready. So I'm going to leave you in the hands of Steve and Tequila. But before I go, guys, Steve, what is your score prediction for today?
Let's first let everybody understand that I really don't care necessarily about the score line. The only thing I care about is whether this team comes out of this match healthy. I do not want to see any knocks or niggles from some of our key senior players. But for me, this is all about, the likes of Alfie Devine, Jamie Donnelly, and Mikey Moore, just considering that, those three who are thought to be on the periphery have a very big opportunity to plant their flag and impress Thomas Frank to carve out a role for them this season on the first team. And so I think more than anything, this is a potential coming out party for those three. And I would love to see them grab the match by the scruff of the neck and make Thomas Frank have to make a decision on their Spurs future. And so from that standpoint, that's why I'm excited about this match, just because of those three. But I also would like to see the momentum that was carried on from some of these senior players that were around to lift that Europa League trophy. So from that standpoint, I do think Spurs are going to win this one. I'm going to say 4-1.
That's a good score. Tequila, look, I let you and Steve finish off. I'm now going to bugger off and get the watch on already. What's your score prediction from my own?
I'm the same as Steve. I don't mind.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I think I'll be 2-2 probably.
2-2. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Right, guys, I'm going to bugger off and get the watch on already. Steve, I'm leaving put you in the captain's chair. And right. I'll see you in a few minutes, guys. We're live at 2:45 with the first watch along 25-26. I can't wait. Come on, you Spurs.
We are so bad.
Bouncing. I am so bad. Yeah. All right. And speak to you later, lads. Right, I'm going to leave there. Hang on.
All right. Well, thank you to the Dermatron who decided to get into this. Let me ask you a question, Tequila, because we're going to roll for a couple more minutes before we jump off. What are the things that you're looking forward to today's match? Is there anything in particular, or is this just is this for you just for certain guys to get back into match fitness, and more or less this is just about the youngsters?
I'm curious to see. How can I describe it properly? There's certain managers who come in and who are, and I don't think this is Frank. I think he's going to go the other way. There's certain managers who come in, for example, like a Conte. He's a very stubborn man. He's a great manager, a winner everywhere he goes. Well, nearly everywhere he goes. But he sticks to his system, and he's like, you're going to play this way, whether you like it or not. This is my system. And then there's other managers who come in, and then they will look at the players they've got and build their system around the players that they have. I think Frank's in that second bracket. He's going to look at the players he's got, and he's going to build a system around the players that he has access to. He's not going to try to get them to become something they're not. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see how he lines up formation-wise is what I'm interested in, because if you see the kind of formation he wants to play, at least with his current group, then maybe we'll get a better inkling about the kind of players that we might be after. Because right now, although we are making bids for players, I'm hoping that Kudos had Frank's approval. I'm assuming he did. I'm certainly hoping he did. I don't know about Danzo and Tel. I get the feeling they were already kind of agreed to before.
Yeah.
So I want to look at his formation. I don't care how badly we really play. I just want to see the formation and see what the general idea is going to be. And then we can have a look to see, okay, so if he's thinking about playing this way, who can we afford to let go? I mean, there's players in the team. Me and you probably won't agree with all these players, but there's a whole bunch of players I have no problem letting go, who I think who didn't pull up their end of the bargain, however you want to look at it. And I'm curious to see if Frank feels the same way about them as well. So it's just a little bit of a preview and inkling into the man's thoughts. Just don't expect too much, guys. This is his first game, so I don't care. Do I want us to go get hammered 4-0? No, I doubt that will happen. But even if it would do, I wouldn't. My stance won't change on Frank. I won't judge him on a 4-0 loss in a preseason match.
Agreed.
When he's only been there 2 weeks. So
yeah. By the way, it just came out from Spurs official that Tony Kinski is now starting over Vicario. There is no news whether or not it was injury related. I think maybe from the standpoint that it's an opportunity. It's another opportunity to evaluate what you have in keeper. And I actually predicted that Kinski would start today because it made it, to me at least, it made the most sense. So that is what's happening now. And again, we're kicking off in about 20 minutes. So Tequila, is there any last thing that you would like to
Come on, you Spurs. That says it all, doesn't it? Come on, you Spurs.
Exactly. So, for me, I think these first two preseason games are all about match fitness. But when we get onto that Asian tour, Newcastle, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, right? Those are the three. Those are essentially the three dress rehearsal games prior to the Super Cup, and that's when this first team really starts to have to kick on, and they're going to have to put their best foot forward. So I would probably assume between now and then, training is all going to be about crossing your T's and dotting your lowercase I's. As far as formation goes, and making sure that the verbiage and making sure that the tactics are coming across, and that these players are 100% buying into it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And I will say that today, it's nice to see Bentancur out there. I'm curious to see exactly how he's picking up. Same thing with Yves Bissouma. I'm curious to see exactly. I have a feeling he's going to be on the pitch. So I'm curious to see exactly what he looks like under Thomas Frank. So there's a lot of intrigue as far as I'm concerned with today's game. So I hope, for me, again, this has nothing to do with winning and losing, wins and losses. For me, this is all about health. And I just want to see this team being able to get through this game, injury-free or as close to injury-free as possible. Because I don't think this team at this staging point can risk even a short-term injury at this point.
Steve, you do agree though that Spurs fans can be a fickle. Well, all football fans can be, not just Spurs fans. I hope that should we lose or should we not have a particularly good game, I hope the knives don't come out especially from the fans of the last manager who didn't want him to go. That's all I'm going to say. But I know that they won't have much patience. So I hope that they are willing. Should we not start the best? I'm slightly worried that they won't give him any time. I got to be honest. So.
My hope is that I hope all Spurs fans realize that this is just a preseason friendly, and that nothing necessarily hangs on winning or losing. I think that there is something to say about momentum. But that being said, the preseason games to me that matter are the three that are going to be played in Asia, because again, those are dress rehearsals, and you really do want to put your best foot forward against Newcastle, Arsenal, and Bayern Munich, because we've struggled, especially in the preseason, and there's a lot of things that you can take that end up bleeding into the regular season. If you remember the last couple of years when we played Bayern Munich, we got played off the pitch. And some of those things, some of those matches, and the things that led from those matches ended up bleeding into the regular season, or at least to start the season, especially last season. So for me, these two matches against Reading and Luton doesn't necessarily mean all that much to me. It's the three that in the Asian tour that are going to be absolutely pivotal as far as momentum carrying into that Super Cup. And I don't care what anybody says, man. Some people call the Super Cup a preseason trophy, but I think that for momentum heading into the season, for Spurs to win that Super Cup and to win that trophy is going to speak volumes for the fans and their attitude toward Thomas Frank.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to our little pre-match build-up. And, of course, in about 15 minutes, the watch-along will begin. Tequila, are you going to be a part of the watch-along?
No, I can't get any stream I get is always so far behind you guys. So it ends up being just not worth it, because all my streams, I end up being like 2 minutes behind you, and it's just like no point. So I never do the watch-alongs because I can't get the matches the same speed.
Well, I hope you enjoy the match yourself, and I hope you enjoy your Saturday afternoon. Same thing to all those that were in the chat. David Clark, We Are Spurs TV, Colin X. Let's go to Reefer. We will go to let's see. Billy Hotspur joined us today. Boris joined us today. I want to thank all those guys that participated in the chat, man. Without you guys pushing along the conversation, man, this community isn't exactly as strong without you guys. So I do appreciate that, especially to all those that are tuning in. Much love to you guys. So for me and Tequila, I'm going to say two things. Number one, come on, you Spurs. And always, Kulu forever.
Take care.
Take care, guys.